that too because I'm like, for me, and you know what? I'm gonna say, hate- like I understand money. Unfortunately, we need money
Yes.
to survive, but I hate getting into conversations of uh, like taking taking so like the webinars thing,
Hmm.
the whole course things. I don't like. I'm like, yo, if I got the information and I see people asking me for that information, I'm not gonna charge you an arm and a leg to teach you. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna give it to you if like what you do with it is on you. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna charge you arm and a leg because for me, I'm like, I'm not like we already profit off you. We in some weird way, we're like this capitalism thing got us all fucked up, right?
Hmm.
But what I'm not gonna do because we are behind the eight ball so much, and that's not
Hmm.
because of we're dumb or anything. It's just like the way shit has been between being forced here, between working in child slavery, all that. I take all that into account. So
Hmm.
whenever people want the information, like for example, even with my own peers,
Yeah.
so to speak, when they like, for example, um, like I'll go and buy like what I've done recently. I'll go buy like lighting course ebooks from like other photographers,
Hmm.
and like what I've done, I'll put it in the Dropbox. Yo, you want it? Here you go. Don't you ain't
Mm.
gotta pay me for it. Hey, I'll give it to you. Boom, here.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Even when VSCO that came out, I took all the presets that I had bought from them.
Hmm.
I put them in a Dropbox. Somebody called me, hey, do you have any way I can get preset? Yo, I got them all in my Dropbox. Here you go. You
Hmm.
want any money for it? Nah, worry about it. You don't need to pay me for it. They like, anybody else would have charged me. I was like, yo, we in this together. Here, take it.
Right.
Any resource I got for it, like that'll help our people in some sort of way. I'm not gonna sit there and like create a course and charge you. And it's like because one, if I gotta do all that just to help you, and
Hmm.
I gotta charge you, I'm like, nah, I'm not. And plus, I like one of my flaws. I'm not a capitalist on that end where I'm gonna charge you for everything, an arm and a leg.
Hmm.
Because the way I got the information, I have to damn near pay, especially when it comes to the photography. The amount of bullshit I had to do in order to be a photographer, nah, I'm not. I don't want. I'm not gonna have you go through that. Here,
Hmm.
let me let me take some of my little coins. Let me go
Hmm.
get the information. I'll put it in the Dropbox. Or shit, I'll even tell people, all right, yo, this is how I did this art. Here's how I did this setup for this thing. All right, it's on you to go make that work. Got any questions? Let me know. You
Yeah.
want me to look at your work? Fine, cool, no problem. Let's set up a date. I'll clear the day for you, whatever.
Hmm.
So I'm not rushing through anything because one thing I hate, if I'm especially with our people, I don't like rushing through things. I don't like whether it's us talking on this or whether I somebody wants me to look at their work. I'll take out, like I said, I'll take out a whole fucking day. I'm like, look, listen, I'm gonna give you a whole day
Hmm.
because I'm not gonna rush you through it. I'm not gonna charge you, but
Hmm.
the only commitment I expect you to do just be there to receive it all. Because
Hmm.
somebody like me may not always be here.
Right.
That's just what it is. So yeah, like and I hate it, and I hate to see it in other industries where
Yeah.
like the whole tech. When I see the shit in tech, like yeah, pay X amount for this cert, and but I'm like these white folks already charging you. Like you don't want to help your fellow
Right.
black man, woman, child. You don't want to help
Right.
them get ahead. You don't.
But
eh, eh, eh,
a group of my friends talked about this in our group chat on the phone where they've traveled to other countries. One of my friends, he just came back from Japan and he was talking about
mhm,
how the people are very polite, how they're very helpful, and all of this.
mhm,
And you come back here and it's just all this uh aggravation, all this rush, all this lack of empathy. And when you think of America, a lot of people try to say America has no culture. America has culture.
you have culture.
But the way that America's culture is and how it's built in is someone on top is putting pressure on this person. This person's putting pressure on this person. This person is putting on pressure on this person. And at every level, You have people lessening their empathy for someone else.
Yes.
And so when we get to the bottom line, which is poverty, homelessness, and mental health, this is this much priority here,
Yeah.
because I have to do this thing, somebody needs this, I have this to do, and it's very I. When if we all looked at it and stopped and said, hey, this machine that we all are on, it's taking from us as human beings.
Right.
Let's redo it. And
Right.
nobody cares enough because we're all empty at the end of the day. We're just like, I mean, I want to help, but I just don't have it in me. And it's just like it was created to deplete people so they don't care.
Right. Like how like shit. Even like us, we're
Mhm,
we're like outliers of this whole shit. Like shit,
mhm,
our people are outliers because
mhm,
like despite it all, like we somehow find a way to help each other. But to
mhm.
your point, yeah, this place was built on the idea of I, me, you know, fuck the next man, fuck
Yeah.
that, and they trickled it because before, like, all right, like when you take the European out of the equation,
Mhm,
cultures cultures like other non-white people's cultures was not built on the idea of I,
mhm,
me. It was always we,
mhm,
us,
mhm,
like community, especially our people. It's always been a community. It's
mhm,
always been a community thing. So us being forced here, and some of us drink the Kool Aid. It's turned from we to me, and what can I get out of it instead of
mhm,
like how can we
mhm,
benefit off of this without
mhm.
cutting the next man down or taking money out of his pocket or blah blah blah. So
Right.
like even like when you see the wealthy class, the bourgeoisie, I like that's why with this art thing, I I don't uplift like the art dealer, the art buyer, like the
Mhm.
art collector because I'm like, yo, y'all don't put nothing in it. Y'all just take, 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 take. I don't see nobody really. I see the working class. I see the poor. I see I see like the middle. Like I see black people that don't have necessarily the means to be art buyers and collectors.
Mhm.
I see us putting more in than I see the art buyer, the art collector, the like the like these people with these millions and billions of dollars. I don't see them putting nothing in. I just see them taking out because it's
Mhm.
like okay, you're buying the artwork and you're not even buying from who you deem as elite, as who you deem as like, all right, yo, like I don't like I'm not like you're never gonna see a Jay Z invest in a 21-year old artist who from let's say from Marcy Projects, right?
Mhm.
Like you're not gonna see Jay Z invest in that kid
Mhm.
because of his politics don't match Jay Z's or that
Mhm.
kid's art challenges the thought of whatever's going on in the world or whatever. Like Jay Z
Mhm.
don't even reckon like he don't like unless and not to say just him, but like the boot and it too. This is why I like even in the field of photography, I tend to not do like company events or uh talks amongst too many of my peers or
Mhm.
whatever. Or even like you're not gonna see me put on a boat, a suit and tie, and go to like a fancy dinner because at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, all that shit is cool and true, whatever. But what are y'all doing to foster the talent of where that artwork came from?
Yeah.
What are y'all doing to What are y'all doing to make sure that art isn't dead in the next, especially black art? What are you doing for black art that's going to make sure this thing sticks around for the next
Mm.
200 years? What are y'all doing? And even when I look at magazines, when I look at these places that's supposed to be for us, I'm like, what are y'all doing to make sure that black art stays around for the next 100 years? Right?
Mm.
Like we look at all these places that's supposed to be. Like we look at the me and I'm not just talking visual art. I'm talking about our music.
Mhm.
I'm talking about everything you consider art, between music, between visual arts, between writing, anything that we have to create with our own two hands. No, I feel like anybody with any amount of money is not doing anything to make sure that become like when you look at the music industry, like when you look at music, right?
Mhm.
Institution like the music industry does not. Uh, they all they care about is making a dollar. They don't know how. They don't know. They are not fostering the art part of it.
Right.
That's why you'll
It's not a recycling back to us. It's
right,
a let's take what they're talented in,
right,
use the money and fund my wealthy family and
right,
generations that don't even listen, don't even live in those neighborhoods,
right.
and they don't listen to it.
Like imagine if we had instead of one MF Doom, we had 100 MF Dooms
Right.
that was well funded, well taken care of. Folks cared about the art.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
like even a guy, even like a Mad Lib. Imagine if there was 100 Mad Libs
Mhm.
instead of folks having to struggle, having to if these buyers and these collectors and these A&Rs and these this
Mhm.
and that actually gave a damn about making sure like the art state was like we're gonna make sure this art gets fostered. We're not gonna flop them over. We're not gonna. Maybe I'm being too idealistic, right?
No, but that's what we said. That's the American culture embedded into a creative space. Like a lot of people who sit in those rooms with A&Rs about music, they was like, "Oh, there's talent everywhere. That doesn't matter."
Right.
And
It's
that's a problem.
a big
The
problem.
talent should matter. We've moved so many spaces of the creative aspect of why we're even in the seats that we are to not matter. And we've
Right.
made creative spaces so corporate that it turns people off who are really artists. It makes
Right.
people want to be their own manager, their own
Right.
artist, their
Right.
own person who schedules and market themselves because the people whose hands are in it are not coming from a genuine space.
Right. Like even when we look at the case of MF Doom again, it
Yeah.
should not have took Cartoon Network to put this man on. You know how embarrassing that is. Now look at the other spaces
Mhm.
like painters should be getting support
Yes.
and photographers, any even graph writers. Hell, look at the whole culture, a whole culture like came from nothing. Is
Look how they
America?
demonize graffiti.
Yeah,
Graffiti is art in itself. You have to know three-dimensional art in order to be a great graffiti artist. And
right,
they criminalize it when in reality, those would be great students to bring into a world of creating their own fonts, a
yeah,
world of like is and
and
but what's so crazy is if it was up to predominantly white culture, they would take that and make it corporate like to profit off of it if they wanted to.
right, right, and yeah, like same with anything you deem art, like anything you deem art that's holding up this place we live in.
Mhm.
You look like you look at all right, we got all these so-called black billionaires and millionaires and rich people,
Mhm.
and I'm like, yo, how do you allow something that comes from the soil? What like whatever art, like whether they're writing, whether they're creating photographs, whether they're writing graffiti, whether they're
Right.
rapping, whether they're whatever, you allow this is you get your wealth, you got your wealth from said craft when you was in the dirt. But
Mhm.
then you don't turn around and be like, all right, I'm gonna kick this ladder down here. I'm gonna help y'all get up. I'm gonna grab y'all. I'm gonna make sure y'all y'all come up with me instead of all right. Once I get here, I'm gonna kick the ladder. I'm gonna shut the door. I'm gonna put a lock on it. It's
Mhm.
only me. Again, to your point of like us absorbing American culture and making it instead of about us, it's all
Mhm.
about me and mine and how can I secure my pockets
Right.
rather than and don't get me wrong, they have been outliers that have helped, but it's like the outliers should be the norm, especially in a place where we have to fight for our survival in
Mhm.
in every sort of way. Like even our professional our professional lives, we have to literally fight and scratch and claw. And you see every other non-white culture that comes here. They pull themselves up. They like, yo, listen, all right, cool. We're gonna we're gonna do whatever it takes to survive and thrive. So if
Mhm.
10 of us got to sleep in the dining room and 4 of us got to take the bedroom, but we all gonna get up and make sure we survive and thrive and we're able to make a living, then
Mhm.
we're gonna do that. Especially in the art space, it's not, especially with black artists, you don't see enough of that. You don't, and and if you do see it, it's not from those with, it's from those without.
Mhm.
Like I could, like I see those without or who got a little.
Mhm.
They're like, all right, yo, let me put my guy on. All right, he wanted
Mhm.
this opportunity. Boom, boom. I got it. All right, let me help him out. Like shit. Even yo, like when I say like I know people bash social media, but I've like I've used social media in a way where like it's meant like yo, there's a Twitter user, and I'll keep his name private because it's not about that. Like yo, he was working social media for a long time to the point where yo me and him are good friends. One day, I don't know what he calls me. He was like, yo man, yo, I ain't got. They kicked me out of Def Jam, blah blah blah. Yo, is there a way you can you can let me come work for you? I said, how do you want that?
Mhm.
There's a job opening at for a client I'm working for. Yo, send me your resume. When next time we're working your resume, we'll get
Mhm.
you ready for this interview so you can get this job.
Mhm.
Client I worked for, one of the heads, I was in his ear during the job. Yo, I think this kid is great. He's
Mhm.
great for to work with us. Blah blah blah. Yo, you need to interview him. I made him sick and tired. He's like, yo, you're in my ear all the time. All right, fine, whatever. Bring him. Blah blah blah. But please chill. Like we rehearsed whatever.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, they was uh people that headed the client. They was like, we want you in an interview too. I was like, you sure? Because
Mhm.
I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'll be helping them. This kind of not be fair, but
Yeah.
all
But
right,
that's
cool.
how those spaces work. Like when this is the fucked up part about college, and this is why I love 2 years of college and I hated 2 years because within me going to college from 17 to 21, I saw that where it was going was your talent didn't matter. Who you knew matter, who was in the room, and who spoke your name in your absence in rooms
Right,
was what mattered. And there's a lot of untalented people whose names get brought up so they can get in the positions that they are. And when I was
hmm
living in New York for 6 years, trying to like chase being in spaces in fashion and design, was lots of racism and it was lots of who do you know and does
right,
your family come from money. If it
right,
wasn't that, they didn't want to see what you were talented in.
right,
And I know a lot of people who after they got their bachelor's they went to college to get their master's behind design, and they're still working hourly. And I was like, I'm not going to eat up my life giving my money to a system that was going to reject me anyway. I have to go
right,
out here and get this life experience.
right, right. So yeah, like listen, I which is weird because you like clients for some reason
Mhm.
they trust me.
Mhm.
So like when I like again when I got my man on,
Mhm.
I was like, yo, you good? So we're gonna get you in the door, blah blah. I was like, also, yo, show them what you're doing personally. Show them what you do. And they didn't know this. I was like,
Mhm.
yo, show them what you do personally with social media, so they know. Okay, yo, this kid is definitely a lock. Yo,
Mhm.
I rehearsed it with him. I was like, yo, say this, that,
Mhm.
mention this. Yo, print out all your shit on social media, all your numbers, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, a week later, after the interview, he got the job. Like,
Yes, it's good.
so like, imagine if in art space, since this is an art podcast, imagine if your art buyers, your art collectors, even those that are like well off, well established. Imagine if they turned around and did the same thing, like, yo, let me pull
Linked
you up,
up. Okay.
linked up, and and even in every form of art, like
Right.
imagine the situation of a lot of our favorite independent underground rappers. Imagine if they didn't have to be independent anymore. Imagine if they had somebody that gave a damn, that to
Mhm.
be like, yo, I see shit. Even if you ain't got the talent I perceive you to be, yo, I see you work hard. Let me pull you up. Let me pull up. Imagine if all these people turned around and pulled their own. Imagine if we
That's why when it comes to an artist like that's why I can have a love for an artist like a Nas, and I could also
right,
have a love for an artist like a Currency, because
right,
I saw his process from being up under wanting to be on a label to in this space of independent or am I gonna drop this music stuff? And his mom came in clutch off of what he gave to invest in him so he could get to a level where he's completely independent and still dropping what he wants to drop. And
right,
that doesn't get appreciated and talked to people enough to be like, this is also an avenue that you can take, but it requires you to have good people around you that you vet properly over a period of time. And just like you said, social media is supposed to be a place where people connect and intermingle, not on no catty bullshit, not on no celebrity bullshit. But even in podcasting, when I was like, okay, I think I'm done with She Gets It pod. I have something else to say. I want to get into art talk, right? I love art. It's just in me. I had to research what podcasts are out there talking about art on a level where people outside of art can understand how to bridge that gap. There
right, right.
wasn't a lot of us talking
No,
about art.
yo, and that's
And
the
that
crazy thing.
pissed me off because I'm just like, why is it like we don't exist out here creating and making avenues for ourselves? Why is that not being talked about? And so I
Right,
was like, okay, I got to do it.
right.
Yeah.
Because it's not, and like we again we got to pull out. Fortunately, we're in a space where, all right, yo, listen, I gotta create that thing because it ain't out here for us.
Mhm.
Let me create it and let me bring as many people as I can with me that are like you said, you gotta vet them out obviously, but let
Mhm.
me bring up as many people because like yo, like I like the case of me.
Mhm.
Too many people out there like knocking on my door. Yo, we want to talk to you. I'm gonna say this respectfully. The only time motherfuckers wanted to talk to me was when we was getting our backs kicked in 2020. We was going through hell, and we tore America a new part, and that's when motherfuckers was like, all right, we want to talk to them. All these other times, like in times of quote unquote peace,
Mhm.
I don't see not one motherfucker knocking on my door talking about yo blah blah blah. Yo, we want they which is I'm like, don't talk to me when we getting our backs kicked. Talk to me when like, and it just ain't got to be me. It could be other folks like me that I don't see enough. I don't like. That's why, again, with what you're doing, like, I'm like, all right. And it's crazy because I did the same thing for another black podcast that focuses on photography. They was looking for folks to interview. I was like, yo, use me.
Mhm.
I ain't got. Hey, look, listen. Look. I may not be as interested, but
Mhm.
I'll be the one to get you through the door to be able to
Yeah.
talk talk to other folks because it like again I like the way I see it again. It's I feel like it's like it's my point place of duty to always turn around and like, yo, if somebody need help, yo, grab their hand, especially our people, because it's like, why can't we get enough help as it is? But
Mhm.
when it comes to our people, if somebody is like, hey, I need your help, all right, cool, here, let me help you.
Mhm.
What do you need? Whatever you need, I got you.
Mhm.
And so like that that should be like now imagine if that for every form of art, if like in your case, if there was other podcasters like, all right, yo, let's help her here. You
Mhm.
want to become in this space here.
Mhm.
This is what you should focus on. Boom, boom. This is how you
Mhm.
create it. Boom, boom.
Mhm.
Even in everything, like we should we should we should get to a point where we should be able to help each other without,
Right.
like to your point earlier, receiving a price, receiving coin for it, or
Mhm.
and I understand time is money and all that other bullshit, but really, you motherfuckers can't take the time to help each other out for
That's that
just to help
empathy.
each right. Like a price has to like coin must follow you helping them. Like must a dollar like that's
That's why
why
everybody that I talk to, even if it's not predominantly a podcast space, if I'm talking to you or I know you through another person, I'm always gonna let you know, hey, if you have any questions about this, just DM me or email me. It's
right.
not no set up an appointment. Consultations is going to be
Yeah.
$100. Like it's not that for me. And during the pandemic, it was a lot of people trying to figure out, okay, what other avenue can I be in to make money? And a lot of people pick podcasting. And so in different conversation, they be, "Oh, I'll reach out," and they'll reach out to me. They'll, "Oh, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z." Dust. Never heard from again. But I'm just like, okay, I hope that they do something with the knowledge that I gave them, or did they just?
Right. Don't right. Right. Because yeah, the pandemic was weird. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was weird. Everybody was scratching corner trying to, all right, yo, how I'm gonna eat, how I'm gonna make the
Mhm.
money. Thankfully, for me, you know, it was the case of because as as young as I am,
Mhm.
I have the displeasure of collecting of disability, but
Mhm.
I used disability to fund the art and everything, so it wasn't as weird for me. But seeing how people moved during the pandemic to try to make a
Yeah.
dollar,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, y'all know the government's sitting right there, right?
Right.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't. You know what? I don't knock people when they scam the government during the pandemic. I was like, yo,
I've learned the saying of crime doesn't pay. Certain levels in life, yes, it does.
it
But you
does.
gotta know when to pull out.
Yeah, like people, a lot of like I feel like a lot of people didn't know when to pull because it's gambling, right? You,
Mhm.
you, you got to know when to fold them and when to hold them, when to fold them. And a lot of people
Mhm.
didn't know. It was like, yo, I'm gonna just keep
Right.
taking, and then and now the government's like, because like with the whole PPP loan thing.
Mhm.
I was just like, yo, y'all gotta, because I keep seeing people doing dumb shit with it instead of, all right, yo, like, all right, they're giving out this money. Let me do right with it, so this way they don't. And, there's a level of, all right, yo, you're gonna do some wrong shit. At least be smart about it. Don't be
Mhm.
out here fucking flaunting and fucking
Bought a Lamborghini yesterday.
man, like what the
Why?
fuck? Like like this pandemic wasn't gonna last forever. Why don't you buy that Lamborghini? You could have took that
Right.
bread, put some of it away. All right, if you want something to drive around in, cool. I ain't because who am I to say?
Yeah.
But come on, don't fucking get the land.
That's like me in person. Like I'm so self-aware of what can I do with the finances I have. What do most people do? I don't want to do that. I don't want to make myself a target with kids.
Yeah,
Even when it comes down to how I order shit. Can I order everything that I need this week? Yes. Am I going to? No. Because I'm gonna have the whole neighbor look at me getting these packages like, what the hell she
yeah,
got going on? You know what I'm saying? I'm very aware of when I do things, what does that look like, and what am I telling people?
yeah. And so like I look, listen, that'd have been the perfect time for people to be like, all right, yo, listen, I'm gonna put it because I was collecting unemployment.
Hmm.
Although, so I like what I did, I was like, look, listen, you take this unemployment
Hmm.
and I'm gonna go document what the hell's going on outside. Like, I was one of the few people. I was not following curfew. I was exploring New York. Like,
I'm in Georgia. We didn't have a curfew. They was just like, it's a pandemic.
yeah,
You don't have to pay rent, but you could order groceries or you could go to the grocery store. There was everybody was outside. Oh, we could go to the restaurant. We could go do this. They were
we,
not following no protocol.
yeah, New York. They, you know what? They instituted a curfew,
Hmm.
but then once George Floyd's assassination happened, like the gloves came off. It was like, you know what? Fuck, we outside, yo. Like
Mm.
like, like I'd never seen New York upset. Like the last time New York was upside down in that regard. It was like what 9/11,
Mhm.
maybe. Yeah, 9/11 or the blackout. But yeah, like after because again, like because I remember when the pandemic hit. Um, I was in Canada. It hit Canada first because a lot
Yeah.
of the because me and a partner went out to Canada to uh to do a photo shoot for Fred Van Vliet.
Mhm.
And the first time we went up there, shit was cool. The second time we went, I'm looking at the TV.
Thank you so much for watching this episode on YouTube. Shan and Pods. Yes, it's a channel. You can find it on chanbepoddin.com and the link in the show notes. And also, just so you know, if you're an audio listener, this episode is available on audio. Now back to the show.
TV, because one thing about me, I'm like the Batman of the group. Like I'll pay attention.
Yes,
I'll
no.
pay attention. Yeah, I gotta pay attention to shit when
Yeah.
nobody else is looking. So they started asking questions. Where the hell were you guys in Asia for the last any the last 2 weeks?
Mhm.
I'm looking at the TV. My partner, he not looking at the TV. He like, yo, we just gotta get to Canada. I'm looking at the TV. They questioning us. We filling out stupid shit.
Mhm.
We get to Canada. I'm still looking at the TV because they had a bar in the hotel. I'm looking at the TV. Them talking about this pandemic, blah blah blah. And then so after we do our little thing, we come back home, and then the pandemic. I was like, oh, so that's what that was. Damn, yeah. And that's when the world went to shit, and they was like, all right, yo, curfew. I was one of the few people. I was like, I'm not doing this curfew shit. Like, cause one thing about me, I'm stubborn as shit.
Same.
Like, yeah,
Same. I just
cause I'm
figure
a,
out a way to use my stubbornness.
yeah, cause too I'm an Aries, so we're stubborn, fucking nature.
Oh
So
yes.
so
I am the mother of an Aries.
yeah,
She's special.
hard headed, hard headed, hard headed. Don't listen. Like we learned the hard way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I listen. I got unemployment. I was like, all right, I'm gonna use this.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm gonna take care of whatever, but I'm outside. I'm photographing shit. I'm once the spirit of um George Floyd protest hit,
Mhm.
I was like, yo, the city paying me to basically without them knowing it. I was like, yeah, the city kind of living off unemployment. I'm just gonna photograph what's going on. Like I it was so liberating not having to work for the man, so to speak, not having to do any
Same.
client work.
When they did that and they were like, schools are closing, that was it for me. I was like, I can't be at work. And that's what made me do the unemployment paperwork. What's so crazy is that I didn't receive my unemployment until 2 years after the pandemic. And
Damn.
they I just woke up one day and they just started throwing money in my account to the point where I thought it was fraud. And
Right,
I was
right.
like, "Is this money mine?" And it was like, "Yes, it's your unemployment that you didn't get." But the one thing that I do love about the pandemic is it made people who were creative and neglecting themselves realize how much money I'm giving society to maintain this lifestyle and forgetting this thing that I love to do. And so it
Right.
gave people a break to own their time creatively, and a lot of people never went back to work. A lot of people ended up independently working for themselves. And that aspect of it, I loved it. The other
Yeah.
aspect of it being in control of what my children are digesting education wise and knowing what I'm putting into them and having that time to just like not live on a clock. I took advantage of it. And then I also got to see the people who really hated the people that they were living with, really hated the fact that they had to parent their child and be with their child. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
yo, it is
Li-
crazy out here.
Like in a fucked up way, it allowed for self reflection
Hmm.
and everything. Cause you know what, during the pandemic too, it allowed for like my family to see what I was going through. Cause I was talking about, yo, I can't sleep, I can't sleep,
Hmm.
because after effects from the war. So it took literally the pandemic for my brother, this before he moved out and
Mhm.
everything. He saw that I had nightmares
Mm.
because like it's one thing you tell your people, yo,
Yeah.
can't sleep, blah blah. They didn't like like It took for them to see. Oh shit, okay. Now, like one morning, he's like, I see why now. Why you can't sleep. I was like, and I broke it down. And I was like, look, this was going on because I didn't tell the family that I had went to war. They all thought I had a desk job, whatever.
Mhm.
I was like, nah, I went to war. I went to war. I detailed. I was like, this why like certain shit hurt. This why I can't sleep. Blah
Mhm.
blah. And it was like, oh, like it allowed, like the pandemic allowed, and also too with the artwork I was creating. When I say that not having to cater to
Mm.
corporations and having to cater to clients,
So good.
man, I was so liberating. I was like, oh, I could just create this shit. That's why like part of like that's why I've always had it and I've always told myself, whatever you do,
Mhm.
keep 95% of your artwork personal. Because
Mhm.
the day's gonna come when this money shit don't matter.
Mhm.
You're just gonna have yourself to look in the mirror
Right.
and talk to. And when that day came, I was like, okay. So like between photographing just the neighborhood, photographing the neighborhood in turmoil and grief
Mhm.
over George Floyd and everything. Like and talking about what we face in our neighborhoods and
Mhm.
everything, and even waking up during the pandemic and going to the park every day, just photographing people skateboarding and see see the women out there on their rollerblades. I like
Mhm.
it was so liberating. I was like, thank goodness I don't have to look at another creative deck and look at prepare as if I'm going out on a patrol. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I'm just creating out here. I'm like, oh, I'm loving this shit. That's why even even now the way I've changed my artistic practice over the years
Mhm.
for clients, like it's to the point like because before whenever I create for clients, I'm like, yo, I'd be first of all I'd be the last Mr. Last Minute. So if a client needed me for any last minute things, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, sure, whatever.
Mhm.
Just send me the brief, blah blah blah. I don't do that as much anymore.
Mhm.
I gotta like really, I gotta really like what you're doing as a client.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'm not doing it. Like I've told plenty of people nowadays. I'm telling people no, like
That's what
flat
I
out.
do when it comes to like art. When people be like, "Oh, you draw really good. Can you draw this for me?" No, I gotta feel that. I
Yeah,
gotta
I gotta feel
feel.
it. I gotta feel it.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, like I'm not doing any. I don't do as much last minute things more. Even when I'm doing like work for clients,
Mm.
I don't rush to like edit and color correct everything. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give myself 2 days.
Don't be getting
Like,
into one of my questions already. I look,
oh shit.
we're talking, and I haven't even asked you any questions about what I want to ask you because I could really talk to you all day about different stuff. But yeah, like that's one of them things because a lot of people feel like a photographer is on demand for them when really no. You got to give me time to get this back to you how I want to give it back to you.
Right, right. That's like before. I'd be the type of photographer because you know why too. I've worked in the journalism industry, so it's
Mhm.
always like as soon as you photograph it, you edit it, you send it out.
Right.
So nowadays, because I work more so in the commercial space, um, before I used to take that approach. It's
Mhm.
like, all right, yo, if you like, and it could be, I could create $100,000 campaign and have it edit to you by end of day next day.
Mhm.
Because like with my work, I don't like the work. Like I get everything right in camera, so
Mhm.
this way I don't have to sit in a computer. I don't have to sit on the computer for like 14 hours at a time, pick out pimples or whatever. So like you know, so I tell people, yo, like if you got a scar across your face,
Mhm.
don't ask me to edit it because I like that scar's gonna stay there because
Yeah.
of my aesthetic and everything.
Yeah.
I'll take out little things if I have to.
Mhm.
If like it's like a last minute thing, like yo, can't get rid of that big zit on my forehead,
Mhm.
blah blah blah. Otherwise, yeah, if you got it, it's staying there. Got a
Mhm.
scar, it's staying there. The only thing, like if you ain't got no abs, I'm sorry. I'm like, nah, nah, I'm not putting
That
no
you what
abs.
you know what that you saying that that's what really got a lot of people fucked up in what they expect people to look like. Is this
Yeah,
whole airbrushed photography effect. Women don't look like that for real.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's crazy because even when I photograph women, yo,
Mhm,
I like because because the way I photograph people,
mhm,
whatever I do for the men, I do for the women, and
mhm,
vice versa. So if I photograph man, a certain like given my aesthetic and
mhm,
my style, like I don't. There's no like, all right, yo, if I photograph her, I gotta make sure she airbrush, blah blah. I put her in the male's gaze, like, yo, if he looking tough, she's gonna look tough. If he
mhm.
tough, she's gonna look black. So like, yeah, like I like, but what I like I said, what I don't do the airbrush thing, because how I saw you is how I'm a photograph.
Mhm.
Like, so even if you got like shadows and like you looking badass or whatever, yeah, I'm a, and it helps my editing process. So I'm like, yo, if you're trying to hire me, like put it this way, if you're trying to hire me for something, like even with beauty, right? Like there's an image of um, and I think plenty of people saw it. I had put out this image of this Afro Latina chick. She's wearing this dress and she's dancing.
Mhm.
I did no Photoshop work for it.
Mm.
I didn't do no airbrush, no nothing. I just like we just we just set up the light, set up the
Left it raw.
background,
Mhm.
left it raw. Only thing I did was add a little my little color grading my little color grading preset to
Mhm.
make it look a certain way. Well, yeah, I didn't go in and like, all right, let me take out a pimp. If I see a pimple, if I see a scar, I
Yeah.
left it as is. So,
Yeah.
like, so yeah, that's so typically like even on a personal thing, I do this same because I want my art to look a particular way. So I'm like, yo, if you should hire me
Mhm.
or ask for my know what you're
Please
getting.
research what I do.
Please research what I do.
Yeah.
If you're looking for this over beautified thing,
Mhm.
if you're looking for, I put it this way. I put it this way. It's like when you look at Jet magazine
Yeah.
or any like okay, not even Jet magazine. Like take any fashion magazine.
Mhm.
That's not like I can give you my interpretation of it,
Mhm.
but don't expect any like airbrush work.
Mhm.
Don't expect the photos to look super or like how can I say? Don't expect anything to look like a Greek sculpture or anything. Don't look for that. What you're
Mhm.
gonna get out of me is you're gonna get like a New York version of like like if you were to send me to photograph Naomi Campbell, right?
Mhm.
You're not gonna get what uh like your fashion photographer like a Mario Testino or a Nick. Now you're not gonna get that. You're gonna get Anthony's version of how I how Naomi Campbell looks.
Mhm.
So she may have shadows. She
Mhm.
may look like some out of she may look like something out of a Marvel comic book. She
Like to
may
me, all of your work gives me this is that person in this experience that they're in this environment, right?
right,
It takes you to where the people are or the thing is in that photography, which to me is what you're supposed to do. This whole idea that this woman looks this way in this dress and this man looks this way in this dress with this background is superficial. It's not
right,
real. But because that's why I like sometimes after I watch a movie, I want to see the producer's commentary part.
right.
Or even like Game of Thrones. I caught up on Game of Thrones this morning early. I'm watching the behind the scenes with everybody on set and setting up so
Yeah,
you can really appreciate how they did this shot.
yeah. It's crazy you say that because I do that for a lot of shows, including because before we came, I had finished the season's interview with a vampire, and
Mhm.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how it really looks. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, like I would photograph that differently. I like because that's what I do. Like
Mhm.
which now you see starting to see corporate America. they prefer they starting to hire people because they understand now. Okay, yo, the the over beautification of shit
Mhm.
ain't really getting people. We got to get to where the people we got to get to where people at so they can feel a part of whatever it is we're
So
selling,
they can
right?
relate.
Like when you look at, like, for example, you look at a lot of, like, when you go on Nike's Instagram now,
Mhm.
they start to incorporate like the the how can I put it? They, like, you take my style,
Mhm.
you start to see Nike get those kind of photographers now,
Mm.
where they not only give you that athlete that looks like a Greek god, but they're like, all right, we're gonna go down to where they started. We're gonna photograph them. We're gonna
In
do
that
it.
element.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because before it wasn't that, but ever since, I guess as they start hiring more photographers, they start seeing, oh damn, we gotta relate. We can't necessarily have we can't necessarily just keep putting up these folks up like demigods.
Mhm.
We gotta bring ourselves back down to earth, because that's what, because even with society, that's how they're moving now. It's like, nah, we don't want to see you as just like this demigod. We want to
Mhm.
see, like, we want to see what you like behind the curtain. Even in the simple it's pro wrestling. That's why pro wrestling, despite it considered gutter entertainment, that's why it's still a thing in American culture, right? Because it's like, all right, yeah, we get to see and feel who we're getting behind, so to speak,
Mhm.
or we 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 know where they come from, So like it's the same thing like with this style of photography now, where
Mhm.
before it was like, nah, that don't work in a commercial space. Whereas you look at magazines, you look at everything you consume, right? You
Right.
see that style now, where it's like, even like when I'm like, this thing I did for Comes de Garçons,
Mhm.
yo, there was absolutely no big production. It was just like, yo, we want your style. We're just gonna pull up,
Mhm.
like, where we got the vision. We
Mhm.
collaborate on vision. I'm just gonna pull up with two cameras in my uh in my bag. I'm gonna just
Mhm.
pull up, sweats, whatever, and we're gonna photograph this. We're gonna photograph this amateur boxer. We're gonna make it look good, but
Mhm.
we want your shit. We want your
Mhm.
style. What you bring to the table. No big lights, no whatever. And people, and like, yo, it's crazy. I woke up to that, them posting that, and like people are gravitating toward it. Like, yo, this is ill. This is fire. But
Mhm.
whereas I was like, yo, mind you, this was very low tech. I
Mhm.
mean, I could do the big lights, but like people are grabbing this something that is real more so than
Mhm.
something that's like. And there's room for the airbrush stuff. There's room for like
Mhm.
that sort of thing. But like where people are really gravitating towards like things that are real, like they can
Mhm.
touch, they can feel, they like, damn, I was there, I could feel it. Damn, that was me. They could see themselves. So like
Mhm.
that's that's how I create this whole thing. So like that's why I could fit anywhere. Like, yo, even with that, like you wouldn't expect that
Mhm.
from me. Like, yo, he's photographing this woman boxer in some in the fashion sense, but it's like his thing. You wouldn't that's like you wouldn't expect that out of
But
me, but
that's
I
why it's
make
so
it work.
important for people to remember that an opinion on your work in any art medium is subjective.
Right.
This person might say no and not like it, but this other brand or fashion house might be like, yes, like
Yeah.
that's the look that I want. And that's why as an artist, as a photographer like yourself, you have to be very sure in yourself and create this creative boundary where you're just like, no,
Right.
I'm not altering this. This is how I'm giving it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, or the answer is no.
Right. And that's what I tell people before they step in with me. I'm like, look, before you jump in this thing with me, just know what I do and don't do. So don't, because I don't want people to be surprised or like, damn, I didn't pay for that. I was like, look, I told you before the door.
Yeah.
Like even like I even get like I'll get people to ask like, yo, you do Photoshop work? Yo, can you make my I was like, yo, listen, I can refer you to somebody else, but that's
Mhm.
not what I do. Like
Mhm.
I get everything right in camera, so what you see is what you get. So If
Mhm.
you look like Jeremy Irons, like
Mhm.
I can't. I like that's what you. I'm gonna photograph you like that. If you got some defects, like
Right.
because for me that like I'm like that's because also too I get my style not just from like photographers of the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like document black life, like your Eli Reeds, your Gordon Parks, your Robert Houston's, your
Mhm.
Barry May Weems. I also get my style from like the whole one of the reasons why I like my work is black and white. I get my style from
Ooh, stop. Okay. No. Stop. Wait. Let me ask you the questions because you're gonna give me all the answer that we asking you. And then we're gonna be sitting here for like 4 hours. Wait,
which
okay.
is fine.
Okay, I know, but I'm just like, I'm going to have to edit this for that long. So I'm like, no. Okay, so my first question, um, what was the first time like for you when you took a photo and you were like, damn, I'm actually good at this. Like this might be it.
The first time was shit. All right. Damn, that's a good question. The shit. All right, the first time when I thought, all right, I thought I was good
Mhm.
was all right. So the first person I have photographed like fully,
Mhm.
she fights in the UFC now. Her name is Angela Hill.
Okay.
First black fighter to first black woman to get in the UFC. And she was my first like full on like yo,
Mhm.
this is somebody I'm gonna focus on for the next couple of years. Early in my career,
Okay.
um, it got like because at first I'm gonna be honest, when I first came around to to her gym and around her, like everybody was like, "Who the fuck is this big black dude? He don't say much." Because when you get around me, I'm not like I've learned to start talking, but mainly for
Mhm.
the most part, I'm not a person to talk much. So they got around. So when I got around, it was like, "What the fuck is this big black motherfucker photographing us? He making this crazy work, whatever."
Yeah.
Um, so started with her and everything, and then like a couple years later, she entered the UFC's strawweight tournament,
Mhm.
and when she came back, uh, like she asked for me. She was like,
Mhm.
"Yo, can you follow me around? I'm doing press, blah blah."
Mhm.
I start seeing my couple of my photos that I took of her, and like you know the damn you know the like the free newspapers they usually like folks in New York City pass around in the mornings or whatever.
Mhm.
Start seeing my pictures in those, and
Mhm.
that's when I was all right because Angela has started as a personal project for me, and then
Mhm.
lo and behold, um, I started seeing pictures of her everywhere. Now, mind you, I've never worked with any newspaper editors or whatever.
Mhm.
First time I saw it, I was like, all right, the fact that I took this black woman fighter and I've been working with her and she asked me to follow her around media week and
Mhm.
everything. I've been photographing like the fights and the training and everything and start seeing my pictures all over like the local free papers and stuff and I think Vibe magazine at the time had covered her or something.
Mhm.
At that point I was like, all right, got something here. We just gotta keep working. And I had one more moment. It was with another black fighter, David Branch, good friend of mine. The second time because first time it's like, all right, cool. You see it in a little local paper that people throw
Yeah.
around in the subway. When I had photographed because I had photographed him for about 4 years,
Mhm.
but everything came in a culmination when he got to defend one of his two world titles at Madison Square Garden's smaller arena, right?
Mhm.
Now, in the fighter's journey, whether they're boxing, kickbox, whatever, one of the goals is always Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Like it don't get no for a lot of fighters, especially in the tri-state area, it don't get no
Mhm.
bigger than the Garden. But the fact that I was able to take a story and I had help too, because there's a there's a peer of mine. Her name is Bunny Elaine.
Mm.
Um, she saw what I was doing, and she asked me, "What do you want to do with this? What do you want?" I was like, "Yo, it'd be dope if I can get this in the New York Times."
Mhm.
So, and you know, I listen. I'm a guy like jumping out the window. If it seemed unrealistic, fine. I want to make the unrealistic realistic,
Me.
right?
Yeah.
So she was like, "All right, I'm gonna make some calls and see if I can make this happen. Let
Mhm.
me see what you got." So I sent her my work, whatever. Next thing you know, I get an email. Hey, we're interested in this work. We're gonna put it in the metro section.
Mhm.
What else do you need? I was like, all right. Well, this part of the journey ends when he defends his title inside Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve, because the way this mixed martial arts organization started formatting things. Well, the way they formatted things, my guy Dave had to win his titles off of two tournaments. So, and that night this was like the company's last, like before they decided to transform themselves. So he got
Mhm.
to defend before he went back to the UFC. He got to defend his title inside Madison Square Garden. So I was like, look, I just need a press pass. We cage side to photograph this thing, and then I'll get the pictures to you. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So again, I didn't know. Again, I was under the assumption, all right, yo, I don't know if they're gonna run it, whatever. They
How
are
old were
cool.
you around this time?
I was, you know what? I was in my junior, I want to say my junior year of college. So
Ooh,
probably around 24,
okay.
maybe 24. So like I took it serious. I was like, but I didn't keep the back of my, oh, I'm shooting for a newspaper. I was like, dude, this is my guy. I'm documenting. This is a big moment for him.
Mhm.
Whether this is his first or his last time fighting inside the garden, I'm gonna make it work. Blah blah. So shot his fight pictures and everything. We put the whole thing together, sent it to the New York Times. Next thing you know, I wake up to this photo being his, like a whole, not just his photo, but like a whole, or the whole body of work being 3 pages in the mutual section.
Did you save that?
You know what? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Because you know what? At the time too, I was just like, yo, it's all about. I'm like, when I say I was in grind mode, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I was like, I was just like, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? But
Mm.
I took the day to basically like, yo, this creative project that I spent 4 years photographing wound up being in the New York Times. And I
I
also,
hope one day you find that and you get to like frame it because that's a pivotal like oomph
and
for you.
and and it's crazy because that helped him get like sponsorships and get eyes on him, because his agent, his manager wasn't doing that for him. I was like,
Mhm.
yo, while I was building this, I was like, yo, because me and him talk like we have such a cool relationship that like we talk about anything.
Yeah.
So like whether we talk about, you know, black politics, or we talk about his situation as as an athlete or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So like we all, I was like, yo, without, and I always came like the way I we always spoke is on a friend basis. Yo, why you? I'm because I first seen the UFC, like, as a matter of fact, the sport of MMA inside the New York Times, uh, in the sports section, like when they
Mhm.
was because of, you know, Conor McGregor. So I was like, yo, when of these, I want to get my friend inside the New York Times, because like this sport on a regional level never gets covered. You're a black man, blah blah. I was like, yo, part of me was like, yo, I want to make that happen for him just because. So like
Mm.
everything that happened when he saw his pic, one, when I saw the pictures in the newspaper, because it was actually in print.
Yeah.
I put the paper down. That when I was in my bedroom, I was like, shit, this happened. Shit. All right, cool. All right. Next thing you know, I get a phone call. Yo, bro, thank you. Blah blah blah. I was like, nah, man, this is all. Yo, listen, this is for you. Blah blah.
Yeah.
I went and thanked my friend. I was like, good night, blah blah. I was like, yo, look at that. I was, yeah, and they put all the pictures from the camp all the way, like certain portions from the camp all the way to fight night in there, and I was
Mhm.
like, all right, all right, I belong here. I belong doing this. We got to keep this going. And that's when, and it's crazy because also too during that time,
Mhm.
like that's when I got at the same time. That's when I got that, that little blue check on my Instagram and everything. So I was like, all right, I
That's when
hadn't
that's
that
when it mattered. Okay, now it doesn't
not
really matter.
because now it still matters to me because too it
Well, if,
wasn't
well, to you, because you knew you got it for a legit reason.
right,
Now it's
right,
like people buying that shit.
right. Like it's like it don't mean nothing when
Exactly. It's
right,
disrespectful.
right. And I always like when I got it, I was like I like what I want this platform to do is not uplift me as a celebrity, but I want to take this and use it to in this little in this fucked up thing. I want to uplift whoever I photograph.
Yeah.
So with that, and then the New York Times thing, I was like, all right, I belong here.
Yeah.
I belong here. It's funny because in my room I got like all these books and like it's crazy, but I never saved that article. Like I never hung up that
Gotta
article.
find it. You gotta
Yeah,
find it.
I got. As a matter of fact, yeah, I gotta find. I gotta see if I can. If they could find it, print it, because that's what led me to be like, all right, if you could, this because this started as a journey, 4 year journey.
Mm.
I'll never forget it. He was another one too. That was like, because we had photographed a mutual friend of ours. He was a kickboxer, and again,
Mm.
anytime I get in the place, they're like, who is this big black motherfucker that don't say nothing?
Mind your
Because
business. I'm working.
yeah, I'm working.
Yeah.
Again, I don't say much. Um, I just come in the room. I
Mm.
just get in a little corner, do my thing. If people ask questions, if they want to talk to me, cool. I'll do that. I'll be sociable for the most part. But like to see from because it was him, kickboxer, who he does real estate now, and there's another guy. He's a black Brit. He's a black Brit. It's crazy with dynamic. It was him as a black American, um, a Jamaican, and a black Brit, all
Mm.
black. They was all like they fought in separate sports, but like they all came up together, and just to see like like my guy David go like me to go just for like doing work for him, like
Mhm.
and while at the same time I'm in college, mind you, doing work with them. When I tell you, I took my own money, went to all the like when they wanted me to go to fights and photograph them, took my own money, and I cut school to I
That's
cut
the that's
class.
that, but that's that self investment. Taking
Yeah,
those
yeah,
risks to do that, and eventually over time it pays off for you. And that's what I want people to understand. Like this idea that we have on what time we're going to do this and accomplish this, that's bullshit because your effort, your work, and your practice is going to catch up to you as long as you're consistent.
yeah. Like they'll tell you, I to how crazy I am in the winter.
Hmm.
I took a long seamless and lights and shit, and I'm in the cold, fucking on the subway, going to Manhattan,
Hmm.
fucking photographing these guys,
Hmm.
like for because what wound up happening is because I was in camp for so long with them, and I was
Hmm.
churning out good work for them so they could
Hmm.
document and keep their fans up to base.
Yeah.
Because I was working with them, Adidas was like, "Yo, you want to photograph?" I was like, "Yo, I know these guys." It was like, "All right, cool. Well, we open up our own combat
Hmm.
sports division. We want you to photograph them." I was like, "Cool." Like literally, 10-foot seamless box. I'm on the subway with the suitcase full of lights in my sophomore year. Like, cause any with
Working.
my working, working. Like, cause for me too, if you ever get the chance to be around me,
Yeah.
way also the way I practice my art, it's just like if I'm